And the sitting you on. Hi, I'm just sorry, I'm just trying to sort them out. Right, hang on a minute. I really need to get a tripod instead of propping you up on books, but oh, stay. Oh, so, I'm getting hot now. It's cold, now I'm hot. I've switched the heating off, I'm still hot. Get a drink. This is probably going to go off totally what I was talking about, even though it's the same thing I've been going on about. I'm just so hot about this guy, an elf. He's not the elf on the shelf, but he's an elf. And I'm going to be talking about elves in a bit. I just want to recap on something. But not the sort of elf like this happy little elf and Elf on the Shelf and Elf, the film, the Christmas film that everyone loves. No, not them sort of ones, but like I said, this is more for people who are like watching different thoughts on things, especially when I'm talking about this sort of stuff, and you know, interesting, intriguing things, even if you're just intrigued by it, so you can go and watch it. A different thought process and a different it's where is it? Yeah, it is, funnily enough, because it's sort of what I'm talking about. It's just a incense stick enlightenment, it's called. I've just ordered some new ones, so I will be showing them with a mini witchy haul at some point. But why have I just wrote this down? Not that it'll make, probably won't make any sense. But it's one of these going down the rabbit hole, it's called, down the rabbit hole of maybe expanding your mind a little bit and not talking about the stuff that we've already been told. Like I've said on these past couple of videos, that this is what I've been saying. We're not talking about the stuff that we know of, apparently, or we get told. It's the stuff, like I said, that's in mythology. But they say mythology is truth being brought down in story form to pass on in story form. So there is truth in mythology, so you can't sort of poo-hoo it out the window. So the people who are told, I've been speaking and saying, you know, if you're interested in this, go and look at Jaydreamerz channel, and it's not an S at the end, it's a Z. They did. So what happened? I might not interact with chat at the minute because I need to get this out or I'll get distracted. Because this is another thing that's involved in all this, is the first chat I saw, and then I went to his channel, is about the petrified, the Titans and the petrified, and which they got turned to stone. That's what petrified is. They were turned to stone. Living things were turned to stone, and these things are popping up all over the globe, like giant, the size of mountains. Like, you know, like you say, oh, that mountain over there looks like a body laid down, and that's a face, and there's like giant mushrooms, and like everyone's like, oh, that looks like a giant mushroom, but they're like everywhere. And they're in places where they just oddly look weird that they're there, that they've not just occurred like that, they're just in odd places. And they're popping up everywhere. which is weird only because because I woke up this morning, went to put the telly on so Finn could go and watch, his cartoon programmes. And I was probably, I was watching one of Jaydreamerz videos. So I was listening to that with an earphone in one ear, and he was watching My Little Pony, right? So obviously I wasn't watching it. I was like, oh, My Little Pony, because after My Little Pony is PJ Masks or something that he loves watching, this cartoon. But the night before, yeah, it's funny, the night before, I tried to stick a lot of love on him because that's what I want him to be like. Oh, and by the way, if anyone's wondering why I dyed my hair, it's not to look a certain aesthetic way. My hair is dark brown. It did go black. It will wash out lighter with the red underneath and go like a brown. It's because it was what do you call it? It was bringing my eye colour out more, not that you can tell on here because they go a bit orangey. And it was like clashing with my hair, as weird as that sounds. That's why. But because I was watching about the Titans and these giants all around the world that have been turned to stone, which a guy, I can't remember, but if you go and watch a lot of his videos, you'll see the things I'm talking about. You'll get it more with this guy. And some guy in the past was proven that you can do. It's to do with waters and stuff. But anyway, because I was watching about the Titans and people being, like giants being turned to stone, people being turned to stone, animals, plants, whatever. I went to bed, obviously, like I said, I got up, put the cartoon on, and it's about rocks, these rock formations. So, put My Little Pony on. And then sort of looked at the telly, and My Little Pony was going on about this big rock, and it looked like an egg, but it was a rock, massive rock. And I thought, what are you talking about that for? That's what I was looking at last night. So anyway, I just sort of sat down and watched the end bit of it and was like, this is mad. And they were like, all the little ponies, cartoon, started pushing this, it's great. When started pushing it up the hill, this massive rock, and then put it back where it is because he'd knocked it over something. And then at the end, they're all sat in this house. Applejack's there and that, if you know any of the characters out of it. Because it is a thing from when I was younger anyway. And these other little ponies, who were grey, said, yeah, it's all about the rocks. It's all about the rocks. And I was like, what? I thought that was really odd because there are messages in, which I'm going to sort of try and discuss, in TV, cartoons, films, stuff that we watch that are trying to tell us something, I think. This is what, hi Nini, this is what, I'm on my mad chat tonight, about the Jaydreamerz, and I just thought that was mad that I'd woken up and that was on. But last night also, I was in bed, and because I was watching one called The Secret of the Elves, so if you're into all elving things and because I love Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, and if anyone's a witchy persuasion, then you probably do like films, like I've said, with dragons in, Dungeons and Dragons, fairies, witches, elves, all that sort of fairy tale stuff, mythical stuff. So I thought to myself, I'm sure, and when you have to find it, I have to jump out of bed and find it at 12:30 at night. I like little pixie, also the same thing, pixie, fairy, elf pendant that my nana gave me my mum gave me. It was off my nana from years ago, and like I said, she passed away last year. And when she passed away, I remember my sister not taking, but my mum said, do you want some of her jewellery? What do you want? And I remember she took, I took a little bit of jewellery and she took like this little gold pixie elf thing. And I thought, my sister's got one, but I'm sure there was because this will come into play in a minute, a green, one sat in a little green, outfit. And there it is. And I'll take it off. And I found it because I thought, I'm sure there's a little, I've not worn it, but I did find it. It's really old because it was my nana's. And she passed away, I think it was 91. This, if you can see, don't know if you can see it properly, but it's not focusing. Oh, let's see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, it's silver, but as you can see, you can't see it properly, but it is a pixie, elf, whatever you want to call it. I thought, me and my sister, I've always believed in that sort of fairy fairy thing, because in my belief anyway, it's elements and things, in energy and elements. I showed you the little fairy she made up there before. I'm not getting it down, I had it out before, and I showed you the, where's the book again? The elfy sort of fairy. Even someone said it looked like a bit of a version of Avatar. Well, I love Avatar, and this comes into play with it as well, all them sort of films. But it's pink. These ones. This one that I drew last year. I didn't draw these are just like paper that I've stuck on, but I did draw this elf, fairy, nymph, whatever you want to call it. And I'm always drawing like mythical things and witchy things and fairy things, and my sister's very much the same. She's just been designing a fairy picture thing, you know. So I always love any films that come out and stuff like that. And I'm just going off sidetracking now, because I did see before the new Thor that's coming out this year. Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm just like so excited. Oh, I get it all off eBay. These were made ages ago, so I don't have the stuff. I've had these for years. I might talk about that another time, but yeah, Thor's coming out. This all plays in part with this. I don't know if this is why I have a thing about Thor. And by the way, happy Thor Day today, because apparently I've just been watching something. This is what is exciting and intriguing and interesting about going finding out about stuff and digging about stuff, because you find other stuff. I've got this thing about Thor, everybody knows, Vikings and that. I don't know why, I just have this thing. Well, it helps that actual Thor depicted in the new movies at the minute is, you know, Chris, what's his face? And I do fancy the arse off him, so that does help that. Thor probably didn't look like that, obviously, but in the film, you know, the Marvel and all that, I love him. So that does help. But today, when they say, apparently, the beginning of the week is a Sunday, the beginning of the work week is a Monday, and they were going through why, Jaydreamerz was going through why the days are called the days of the week, after some gods, and I thought, and Thursday is Thor Day, Thursday. And I was like, oh yeah, Thor and his hammer. I just love Thor. I've seen a statue about this big on eBay. Oh my God. Not of Chris Hemingway. Is it Hemingway? I can't remember what his name is. It's just like a silver looking one, but it's lovely, his head and everything. And it's Thor Day today has got changed into Thursday along the line of language, but happy Thor Day. It's Thor Day today, so I'm quite chuffed about that, seeing as it's sort of what I'm talking about. So, if you haven't checked the chatting about, everyone's chatting about it around the globe, about the Titans and petrified where they turned to stone, and the reason why things got turned to stone was, I'm not probably going to say this properly, he explains it well, so that's why I'm saying go over there, is apparently we lived in a paradise, and there was, like, if you think of Avatar, because that's what he says, and that's how I think of it, and that's how I would see paradise, is things were bigger than us, you know, like massive trees, massive flowers, things were in that, you know, that colour that they were in, you know what I mean, if you've seen Avatar. If you don't, you won't have a clue what I'm going on about. You know, giant things, and when the big thing happened where the flood came in, which is depicted in other things, that was the ocean. So when the ocean came in, because they're huge waters, they swished around a lot of mud. I can't explain this properly, so I don't know if it's going to come out like, you know, a lot of mud. And then when obviously these things got covered in water or drowned or whatever, got covered in water. Living things, giants and animals and trees and stuff, everything, plant life. And I think he said like when the sun, when that came down and the sun sort of like baked them, they went to stone anyway because all the like mud and the earth and the minerals went into all the cracks in the veins and everything. It basically, in easier terms, turned them into stone. So now things are sort of, how do you say it, not eroding away our bits of earth. These things are popping out of the ground. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It's very strange. But anyway, on the flip side of that about The Secret of Elves, which go and watch that one. If you're into all that sort of stuff, you'll love it. Even if it's just because you're intrigued and you just love finding out about stuff. So, us humans, our gods would have been like a lot bigger than us. Like in the movies depicted like Thor and that, they were a lot bigger than us, but then their fathers were titans. They were massive titans. If you think of the Titanic, it was, Titanic means huge. So the giants would, the gods would seem like giants to us, but their fathers, the titans, were huge. They always say the size of mountains, and you've seen this in Moana, that film, whatever it's called, where there was a mountain that was this, was it goddess lay down or something, things like that. I can't explain it, go and see it. But they were their fathers, but the gods were like, they say, of what people say gods are, but elves, I can't explain it. He explains about the elves bit and he writes it all down, tells you how it's written and this, that and the other. And I was like, cool, this is intriguing. I like anything elfy because I love Lord of the Rings and what's his face who plays it in that, he's in Pirates of the Caribbean as well. I can't remember his name. Anyway, so I was intrigued in that. And it was basically saying, because he was touching upon like every film that I like, everything I'd be thinking I need to say it. And I was like, no way. Even to do with this, which I'll say in a minute. If none of you have seen it, but you will have to go and look at his channel. Especially the Emerald City, the colour green. Why is it green? Why do a lot of, even on these Warcraft, because it's a lot in that as well, the world of Warcraft, a lot of the magic in that with the trolls and that, or look like trolls or orcs, which are forms of elves, the magic in it's always green, magic's coming off something, it's green. Funny how the Aurora Borealis in up at the North Pole that way is green, you know, the Northern Lights, it's green. From pictures taken up above, it's in a circle over the North Pole. And like I said before, he says, there's a thing called flat earth. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in this. This is what I'm just saying he said, but I think there's truth in it. We're on a realm, because the spirituality thing I believe anyway, I do believe we're on realms, and I don't believe we die, we are on realms. So if we're in Middle Earth realm, there's a realm above us and a realm below, and we can tap into them realms if you know where the porthole is, which is depicted in a lot of films like Thor. They go over the Rainbow Bridge and then he's shooshed down into it, but he normally has to go up. They were saying about The Wizard of Oz, and I was like, no way, because that is one of my all-time favourite films, because the witch is in it as well. But the Emerald City, she gets, a twister comes, but if you think about it, it's a bit like a portal. Where does she get? She gets sucked up over to, you know, the other end of the rainbow. And when I think of rainbow, I think of Thor, the Rainbow Bridge, to another realm. They talk about realms and stuff like that. And I think they were the sort of gods that wanted to help us, but the Titans weren't really bothered about us. Some of the same, some of them turned. So some elves went bad and they went underground. This, if anyone comes on in a minute, they won't have a clue what I'm talking about. Went underground, and they reckon they're still underground. And they are going to sort of make a comeback sort of thing, but they're the ones that, you know, when you say magic and you say white or black, you choose to like do white as if you say it's helpful, like Jaydreamerz was saying, or black is harmful. And we believe there's people on here that are like that because it's negative energy. The trolls that come on here could be the elves, the Illuminati, because they're trying to put people off. But also, it's like, in most things, why are things green? Like elves, you know, elvin, whatever. Normally, fairy things, whatever. What is it with the colour green? See what I mean? Green. The Emerald City was green. Like, money's green if you think about it, which is, God, another thing I could go on about, which I've just thought about. But I did see someone say that on one of his comments. I thought, yeah, funny that. Funny money's green. It's not funny because I know what I mean, but a lot of things are green. I can't remember what he said, what the thing was with green, but like I said, there's Aurora Borealis is green. It's something to do with like magic sort of thing. You could be one of them. I can't explain it. This is why I'm telling you to go and watch his videos, because it just makes sense to me. None of this boring, mundane life of ours that we've been told over years in certain religions and this, that and the other, even though bits of this are depicted in religions, it's boring. It is so boring. It's just really boring. No, I'm not talking about that. It's just boring. I don't believe it. I'd rather I think outside the box. Most people don't, and this is what we're saying. If you're open to it and you think outside the box, if you don't think outside the box, really, you're a bit you're controlled, and you're a bit you've got the puppet masters you know, telling you what to think and how to live. Yes, there is certain rules we have to live by, because in a way, in some ways I don't, but in some ways you have to, because you get caught out by the law. But that's all in the same people who are up there in the Illuminati controlling you. But it's just funny how they were saying about realms, that's where it was, realms, and they reckon it's to do with water. Like, they reckon there's water above us, and they reckon there's water, obviously there's water, we have water, but below our oceans there's water there. You have to get through the water to get through the other realms. So there's water above what we think is space, and water below. And they come through water, which is really funny, because there was a lot of films where that happens. I was saying earlier on that that happens in the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean, that thing where they switch the upside down world in Stranger Things. Funny how she's always sat in that thing where it's like black water. It's the upside down world. It's like reflection of ours, but different. What was the other one? There's loads when you actually start looking into it. What was the other one? Water. Oh, Pacific Rim. And Pacific Rim, I don't know if it's out or it's out. It was out last year, or it's coming this year, the new one called Pacific Rim. There's something, I can't remember what it is, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it, because it just looks really good. But the titans that come out of the ocean, because they are titans, because they're massive, and we have to fight them in massive robots, come from a portal beneath the ocean, and they're coming through water. If anyone gets what I'm talking about, they're coming through water. But I can't wait to see that. Bright, I said earlier on, Bright, the film I watched the other day, just found it on YouTube before I was even looking at this. I've only started looking at this yesterday. Bright, with Will Smith in, which funnily enough, I saw Will Smith doing a chat today. I don't mean it was live today, doing a chat about how we all go and watch the news, and we're all obsessed, like we're all addicted to watching crappy negative things. The film with him in it, where I said this before, where his co-worker is an orc, but they're saying orcs are forms of elves. So if you think of maybe the elves being more like the goodies in a sense, and the orcs are baddies as they're depicted in like Lord of the Rings, that's because they're the ones that went underground and went dark, and they want things that are not helping us, but the others did. So there's still the dark ones and the light ones, but in Bright, the orc was good, and he wanted to show that he was good. He didn't want to be depicted as bad, because that's what that's what they all say. He didn't want to be like that, and he wasn't. He was good in the film. But also there was that other side of it, because I've been looking into this stuff, that there was the district where all the elves lived, and they were all, you know, taller than us but richer, had the money, which is green, you know, the fast cars, this, that and the other. They were magic as well. They could have magic, so they could have what they wanted. So when I was thinking about what I've been watching and thinking about that film and certain films, in near enough every film I like, I'm like, oh my God. And even they're talking about when things got petrified, and these statues that we're saying are titans, there was gigantic trees as well, which are like them. I don't know what they're called, like mount, I don't know what they look like. A rock, a bit like, I don't know what the one in America's called, flat like that, like massive but flat like a table. And they're saying they reckon they were the gigantic massive trees, like, I know this sounds off its head, like Jack and the Beanstalk, because you could climb up that tree to get into another realm, but they chop them down, but they've got petrified. So when everyone says, oh, doesn't it look like the stump of a gigantic, huge, like titan tree, maybe it's because it is. And because we don't open our minds to think, what if these fairy tales, fairies like elves, elven tales, are true? Because like I said, in mythology, there's truth in mythology. It's been handed down in story form to try and pass it down, but things have been ripped out and taken away, and with things eroding now, of these things that are popping up, it's going to be harder and harder to find the truth of what once was. So that's what they're saying, but I believe it. I think it's like, it's intriguing. If anything, why be on the boring side of life and like think how everyone else has to think? I think when they're talking about enlightenment, which I've just learned, coming and people awaking, I actually now don't think it's the waking that some of us think. It's the actual awaking up to what our world once was and could be, the lies that we've been told about history, to keep, like I keep saying, to keep us down and distracted from what's really going on. But there's even symbols in the Marvel films and Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and Thor and everything, and it's just like, really, like when you look into it, you're like, oh my God, like they're putting like, it's like they're saying on YouTube now, it's like they're putting breadcrumbs out for us to find little bits of snippets of information, which will make you go and look at other stuff, because I'm going to be looking at not just his stuff, other stuff. I just find it really, he's even brought up magic in it, he's even brought up, what was it? I sort of did a touch on the Illuminati, that's why I think there's someone here sometimes, try and distract you all the time. On magic, about what he really thinks magic is, and not stuff we were told. And I haven't really looked at that properly, didn't watch the video properly, but he was saying the real magic is in energy and basically words, which is what I'm always talking about. Be careful what you think and what you speak. And this is the way with the Illuminati, of these higher self ones that control us, are like, it's the things that the thoughts that they're putting out there, and they're giving us thoughts, you know, of how we should think and how we should live, and we all believe it because we're getting told from media and stuff. So I just want to say, for you lot who have gone and watched him, and you've told me because you've messaged me and you said you're loving it, binge watching it, I just think it's amazing. I just love it when people can come on a channel. It's not to go, oh, look at her, she's mad. It's no, I've got a very creative mind. My mind's open. I don't poo-hoo stuff because I'm like, no, there's no way that's true, because that's not what was said in the whatever. Well, it doesn't matter, does it? Because we don't. Who knows the real truth at the end of the day? You know, and someone mentioned, I can't say the word again, the Akashic record or something of, that's why we think things are coming up and people are sort of remembering things, or snippets come back, because it's of a past that we remembered, that we all are going to find out in the end, like what really went on, what went down. But like I said, it's just interesting. It's just more interesting than the boring stuff we've been told. And it's actually intriguing and exciting, and it's fun, if anything, as well. And it does make you think. Things that are going to make you think a little bit more out of the box and make you think like, well, what if? He's making you break away from them, those that are higher up sort of thing. And I'm talking about the ones who are controlling us, government and stuff like that, you know what I'm talking about. Breaking away and thinking, well, actually, I want to go and look at this. Just because I'm intrigued, I want to go and look at it. I just love people who can do that. Not people who sit and go, oh, what's she talking about? Oh, I'm going to go back and watch, my silly little programmes on TV, which is dulling my brain and keeping you down and distracted. Why don't you actually go and look at something and find some stuff out yourself? All these trolls who like to come on to try and distract people and tell people it's not true, or, oh, you're daft and this, that and the other. Well, you're daft because you don't have an open mind to think anything. Are you just stuck with one thing that you're told because you've been told it? I think it's a better world to be more creative and think in a different way than to be in the box that we're always told to think, think like this. Why have we got to think like that? Why? So what's good about the internet, you can go like research other things. That's what I'm going to go and watch in a bit. I'm going to go and watch some more of his videos. They were just really good. But the things about elves and that, I just find it really intriguing. Like I said, if you're into all that sort of like what we've been told is fantasy stuff, you really need to go and check his channels out, because even it's depicted in the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern, he's saying, is depicted as it's an elf. He's green. He's got green clothing on. Does he have stuff coming off him? It's green. When it's something green, it means it's the elfin form. Nobody's going to get what I'm going on about. I'm trying to think what else is. Yeah, and who said about Hulk before? Yes, Hulk could be, because he's more like, I don't mean a troll, but more like a Gorgon, or what was I saying before? An orc, because he's a bit bigger like that. Elfin ones, them sort of gods were like, tall, really pale skin and stuff, that I don't know. Anyway, but if you fancy going and watching it, I'd just go, and you have to go and watch Jaydreamerz. He's just really good. He was doing some ones on rock formations where he lives. That was just really interesting. And he calls it the silica age. The age before was silica. It's when they got petrified and turned into stone. Which it has been proven off this guy in the past, but apparently they lost the records. But he has actually managed to turn some just deceased bodies into stone. Nobody knows how he did it, because apparently when he died, someone went in his place of, where he did all this and messed all his files up and probably took stuff. So, we always get told, don't we, oh, this happened, the records got lost. Yeah, they get lost because they don't want us to know stuff, but they don't know how to this day, I don't think, how they actually, how he actually turned these bodies to stone. And one of them's a head, and it's stone, but it is a head. And one of them's, sorry to be rude, a pair of breasts, but they are stone. Have you popped on that channel, Trevor? It's really interesting about why, about the elves in Emerald City and the Wizard of Oz, and they're saying Oz. Oh, you need to go over. They're saying if you like all that mythology stuff, dragons, elves and all that, you need to go to his channel. And the Titanic, the giants, not the Titanic, I'm thinking of the bloody film, because I was talking about the Titans that they find all around the world, these supposedly rock formations that look like people, plants, same from the silica age before. And they're saying about the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, because the same mythology, anyway, is a form of truth passed down in stories. And they were talking about Thor as well. And it's Thor Day today, by the way, because that comes from, apparently Thursday comes from Thor Thursday. Turned into Thursday. But it more attracted me when they started talking about the Wizard of Oz and the Emerald City. Oh, it's really good. And they were saying about how that's the realm of the elves. Green's got a lot of colour to do, like I said, with the Northern Lights and how that's green and it's in a circle at the top of the North Pole. Some people reckon it's a portal to a different realm. We're on Middle Earth. There's a realm up here and there's a realm down there. And being on the witchy side, I only thought today, oh yeah, because what do they say in terms of, you know, witchiness? They say, as above, so below. And I thought, there was just loads of films resonating in me through films that people say, fantasy films, loads of different things. I was just like, you know what, this is just really interesting. But the things that they're finding around the globe now don't necessarily make sense as what we've been told. Because I was saying, Trevor, they always tell us, like scientists and this, that and the other and the government, you know, if someone thinks he's seen an alien ship or what they're saying about the petrified things that people are finding now, these massive, look like giants, you know, like you can say, oh, that looks like a giant's head or a foot. They're saying, oh no, it's over years and years and years. The rain and the wind has, you know, made it go to that where it's eroded away and all this, that. And people are like, it's not. They can't erode like that. Or the government would say, you know, if people think they've seen an alien ship or whatever it is, but they're saying they could be elven because Elvins are tall, they have big eyes, and they have he explains it better, so I just go over there, The Secret of Elves. The government always say, because they say it's in snippets of religions and that, there's little secrets everywhere about what once was before, and they say, yeah, I mean, I'm not religious, but they're saying even in the Bible, even in the Quran, whatever, there's snippets of what our world was once before, but it's not what we've been told it is. It was a land of the Titans, and the gods, as in like, the gods were bigger than us, like, you know, like when you see films of Thor, they were a lot bigger than us, but their fathers were the Titans, but then they started fighting and things happened, and then the Great Flood came. Of what, you know, there's different versions of the Great Flood, but this Great Flood did come because that's when our oceans came in, covered all these giants and everything, but they've been silica age, they've been turned into stone through, I think the guy was saying, through what happened when the floods came, they all got covered in water, but then loads of mud started going around, and this is a true thing as well, what does happen. The mud starts going around, all the earth and the minerals and that got into the veins and the bodies of the plants and everything and people and all that. It turned them into stone, and that's what's saying about, there is a guy that actually did turn some bodies into stone, dead bodies that had just passed away. No one knows how he did it because they don't know what the thing that he did in his scientist lab, this was a few years back, because the records have gone missing. How things seem to go missing, and like if we see an alien, if someone says, oh, we saw this thing in the sky, oh my God, I think it was an alien, the government are always like, no, what it was it was a weather balloon, or it was this, and because we were doing experiments on this, it caused a big light in the sky, so what you were seeing was these things that looked like you were seeing these, what you thought was an alien encounter. But who trusts the government anyway? Because I don't. And they're saying the higher ones are like the ones that have gone underground, these elves, like more like orcs now, because they're doing things that are not to help us, they're to go against us, a lot to do with the government and stuff like that, because it's all through thought process. But I'm just going off my head now, so I'm just going to go and relax and watch a bit more of it's Jaydreamerz, but with a Z on the end, not an S. It's just, if anything, it's just intriguing. If you love all that sort of stuff, people are showing you videos of what they're finding around the world. It's just interesting, Trevor, but I was saying, I was watching a video last night about these titans that are, you know, as big as mountains. They've been turned into stone, but the people are finding these things all over the world. And then I woke up this morning and Finn's watching My Little Pony, and on My Little Pony they were talking about this big rock, and they put it back up this hill because they'd knocked it down. I wasn't watching the cartoon, so I just caught the end. And then at the end, they're all sat there talking about this big rock, and one of the little ponies says, it's all about the rocks, it's all about the rocks. And I thought, what? And then there's other things I've been hearing that people are saying, watch the water. And I'm like, these things that I'm looking at keep mentioning water, because you've got to go through a realm, you've got to go through water. Because we're on Middle Earth. There's a realm here and a realm there. Honest to God, if you love different theories on things, I'm not saying it's true, I'm saying it's concept and theories, but I like it and I do resonate with it because I actually don't believe not everything we've been told in history, but a lot of stuff we've been told in history is our truth, because I just feel like this guy does. He's really nice to watch and everything. He says he has this. I just have this feeling that we're not. There's something missing. There's something we're not being told about. I just feel it. It's not. Something doesn't lie right. And I think people have tried to predict it in different texts, in different areas. But I think when people are saying now more people are being enlightened and people are starting to wake up around the world, I think it's because people are finding snippets of these breadcrumbs and we're realising maybe what once wasn't what we thought, but it was something else, but something like more magical and fantastic than we ever thought. Yeah, everything's been bent, that's what I mean. So when we say God, and I'm talking about these gods as in elves like Thor and that, like people saw them as gods. So everyone has a, and he even explains this, what the word God is, and it is, what did he say? This is why I say go and watch him, because I can't remember or say it properly. Strong leader. He writes all these, he writes the word elvin, and he goes through each letter and says why it was like this, and he goes through everything, and it is amazing. But like I said, he said he's not a regular person. I'm not a regular person, and I mean that in a, some of you on here are not regular, and I mean, I don't want to be normal. I'm not a regular person because I think different. When I'm putting my positivity across on it, it's because I think different. It's the way you think. I can think outside the box. A lot of people can't, because this is what I keep saying. When I know you know, Trevor, because you don't watch telly, but when people are watching these TV programs all the time, you're getting subdued and you're getting distracted from what's going on. I watch other stuff to help my creative brain grow and look at other things, and I'm not scared about looking at other things. I'm open to stuff, so I can look outside the box. So it means, yeah, thanks Trevor, so it means I can go on, like someone can come on this channel and I'll think, what the hell is she going on about? She's a lunatic. No, I'm very open. I can look at other people's channels and think, no, I don't know about that, but I know what they're saying. Or actually, yeah, I really resonate with that. I think that is the way I think. And I don't need to go and have to put a bad message on someone's channel, but I can go and watch other channels, whether I believe it or not, and think there's some truth in that. Like, I do sort of believe that. And then that goes on to make you think, actually, I want to go and research some other stuff because I just find it interesting and I want to find out myself. It's like, don't take the notes what I'm going saying. Go and watch his, and then go and watch the channels he tells you to watch, and then go and do some research in yourself. And like, if you're ever on holiday and that where these things are coming up, go and have a look at them and see what you think. I just think it's more exciting in the world to watch stuff like this and get excited about stuff like this than the boring crap that's going on telly. That's all I want to say. I don't even think I got everything out because I was trying to explain the green thing, but there's no point me going on about the green thing associated with, where is it? Oh, I've lost it now. Oh, it's disappeared. You know what I mean by if he's got loads on his channel, loads about the petrified age. He's got one called, the one I was watching was called The Secret of the Elves. I just highly recommend you go and watch him. It's really great. You know, if you're not open-minded, don't go and watch it, because what's the point? If you're not going to, you know, if you're going to leave bad comments in there, like I said before, that's just a reflection of yourself. But they do say, Trevor, he did actually say on one of his channels before we go that he's never heard of the word trolls as in internet trolling. He's heard, oh, you know what? I'll put his name underneath when I come off, because I don't know how to link things, but I'll put his name underneath, because it is Jaydreamer altogether. Jaydreamerz, Jay, Dreamers, but instead of an S on the end, it's a Z, but I will put the name up after. He said, I don't know when this was, it could have been last year, whenever, but he said he'd never heard of because he doesn't watch TV either. It's funny how us people who don't watch TV can think out the box and think about and look at other things. He said he'd never heard of it, what trolling was, what people do, and he said really that is a form of like the Illuminati, these sort of like what they're classing as the bad elves, the ones with all the sort of power, you know, puppet masters. He said some of them are on here because they want to, people who are talking about out of the box stuff, because I'm talking about going down the rabbit hole. There's a lot of this out at the minute down the rabbit hole. If people are just watching this, won't know what I'm going on about. If you're not, you haven't heard about the stuff, but I have, because I do look into things. It is a real thing that's going on down the rabbit hole. He said there will be people on here who are trolls that are working for them, as in a sense they want people to troll people because it's to bring them down, stop them thinking, to put hate on. And it's an energy thing as well, because he talks about energy and all that. He believes in that side of magic, as in the energy and your words and intentions, vibrations, so that sort of thing in our world. That they do that because I was telling someone this today, and she knows if she's on here or she watches after. You don't put thought on it. Troll comes on, ignore them, whatever. They want your attention. They want the energy. They want the nastiness, because that's what they thrive on. That's what they feed on. They're even saying vampires, Trevor, were some form of like elven thing as well, because at one point they did have pointy ears. Like, that is one of the giveaways of an elf is, you know, elven is pointy ears. It's just really interesting, Trevor, and I think you'd like it, you know, just for something to go and watch, because me and you don't watch telly, we don't watch the news. It's just really good. And the old crow said I told him last night, and he said he's gone and watched them, and he likes it, he's glad he's watched it. I can't remember, sorry, someone else texted me and said they're glad they've gone over the binge watching them. They're just really good. Some of them are long videos, so it's good to sit down with a brew and listen. But I'm just saying, people can come in who are sneaking on here laughing and watching me, but at the end of the day, I'm an open-minded person, so I'm not bothered about talking about it on here if it seems weird or not. It's more exciting to me, it's more interesting and intriguing, so I don't care. But like I said, I've always, it's not like I've stopped when I grew up a little bit from being a child, because children do have good imaginations and think outside the box. I've always thought outside the box, you know, with the chats that are coming in. I've always thought outside the box. Everything he's saying in his chats, a lot of the stuff on it are resonating me like really strong, to do with the films that I've always liked, to do with things that I've heard. Someone mentioned on one of his chats, I've just written it down, I've just threw it down, the number 9. What was I talking about the other day? That is on my bag over there, the number 9. I was like, what? And when I was thinking about when they were talking about the colour green, I thought, yeah, why is money green? Why is money green? Because money's the root of all evil. Not saying any more. That's what I mean. These things keep popping up and I'm like, what? Number 9? I was talking about number 9 the other day. I only found this guy yesterday. It was, you know, I've been talking about the number 9. There's just loads of different things I was watching on the Illuminati and everything. And one of the things I will be watching is about the Nordics have got a lot to do with stuff, as in they've always seen in their fairy tale what are fairies, like elves, and people can't diss this if they sat there watching don't know what I'm talking about, because this is one of their beliefs and one of their fairy tale sort of mythology is they do have fairies, elves, gnomes, whatever they call it, in that culture. And if you think that's a load of baloney, go and research it. That just shows you that you don't know anything. They do. And you know what they're going about? Exactly. But now I know why, Trevor. You go and watch The Secret of Elves. It's like, it's starting to make sense. The Northern Lights are green. And they say up there, you know, you always say, I don't mean Father Christmas, but the elves help him up there. They reckon there's something going on up there, and they're underground up there. But I'm not saying anymore. I just want people to go over to his channel and see what you think. I don't mean trolling people, because he doesn't, if someone causes trouble on there, he doesn't entertain it, he doesn't look at it. If someone says, oh, someone said this, he doesn't, because he knows that's putting energy on something. He knows that's feeding people, like I know it is. If anything starts in it, I'm not interested, I'll ignore people or whatever. But I'm just saying, if you're anyone who's open-minded and you like this sort of stuff, or you like looking up this sort of stuff because it really interests you, because there's nothing on telly normally, go and watch it. Jaydreamerz. I will put the name up after, but it is just one word, Jaydreamerz. The S is a Z, not an S at the end. So, for those of you who I know I'm making sense to, because you've texted me and told me, Just go and enjoy his videos and find out some more. You'll enjoy it, Trevor. The old crow's watching them. You need to go and watch them, and then you can tell me what you think. Because if some of you go and watch it, then we can always have a discussion. It's not about who's right or wrong. I'm not saying this is true, but it resonates with me, and I think there's something in it. And they might come back and say, yeah, I think it's true, but so what? If that's what I believe, that's what I believe. If you don't, you don't. But it's nice that we can sometimes come on here and have discussions. It's not about coming on here with an attitude, coming on here trying to tell people it's right or wrong. It's just a discussion. It's just people's theories on things, and I think that's nice. If you can't come on my channel, anyone wants to join in with, maybe I'll say, who's watched it, what do you think? Just to come and have a nice chat. So I'll see you all soon. Bye. Bye, Trevor.